Today I'm going to be reviewing the LG Tribute. I've had this phone for a long time, just sitting in the closet, just never used it, and decided to do a review on it. It's a older phone, but it costs next to nothing, and it's got a 4.5-inch screen IPS, which looks pretty good, despite being how cheap and old it is. And it's got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 with quad core in it and 1 gig of RAM and 4 gigs of internal storage. Decent sized battery with 2100 milliamps. I'm using the iPega 9087 in this video. It makes it a lot easier to use for a little emulation handheld. I bought the phone about 4 or 5 years ago for about $20 and the controller for roughly 25 bucks. I would not pay more than 20 bucks for this phone or more than 30 for the controller, so you're looking at roughly 40 to 45 bucks for this setup. Alright, so we're going to be starting out with the SNES emulator running Super Mario World. It's running it pretty great with little to no screen tearing or any frame drops. The next game we're playing is Gradius 3. It's a great little bullet hell game on the SNES, and it runs pretty good until a lot of things start getting on the screen. You see some slowdowns. It's still very playable though. It's an awesome bullet hell style game. Where you see some slowdowns is when these dragons start going around. The next emulator I wanted to test out was Game Boy Advance, and I'm testing out the first game with Metal Slug. Most people know Metal Slug. It's a great little shooting game. With this running good, it should be able to run a lot more Game Boy Advance games. Next one up is Crash Nitro Kart, and you can see this $20 phone has no problem with it. And probably one of the most recognizable Game Boy Advance games, Pokemon Leaf Green. It's running it excellent. I like to turn on fast forward mode to make the game much quicker because everybody knows Pokemon games take a long time and it speeds everything up. This next one is the Mupen 64 emulator running N64 and Mario Kart 64. It's running Mario Kart 64 with some drop frames, but it's very playable. The next N64 game is Perfect Dark, one of my favorite N64 games of all time. It seems to be running good until some action gets on the screen and then becomes pretty much unplayable at that point, even with frame skip. Next, I tested out PS1, And here's Crash Bandicoot 3. It's running okay. It's playable, I would say, but it does drop down to lower 50s at some point. With that, I would say you could probably play the easier PS1 games. The harder to run ones like Bloody Roar 2 and Metal Gear Solid are going to be unplayable. The EPXE emulator had a little bit of a hard time connecting to the IPEGA 9087. The joystick would work, and I don't know. I bet if I could had more time with it, I would be able to get it to work, but that's why I'm using the touchpad. Now we got the Drastic emulator running Mario Kart. It's running pretty good. There are some drop frames here and there, but it's hardly noticeable, very playable. Next on the DS emulator is Need for Speed Underground 2. It's very similar to Mario Kart in terms of performance, with a few dropped frames here and there and some audio stutters. So I tried putting the phone vertically in the IPEGA 9087. It works, but it's a little awkward. At a certain point, it feels like it's almost better just to lay it on the table there, but it's doable. This is Pokemon Platinum playing, so if this is running, pretty much all the other Pokemon games will run, and kind of the same story again, some drop frames, but for RPG games like this, it really doesn't even matter unless it truly bothers you. For me, if I needed to, I'd play it on this. So the last one I wanted to test out was the PSP emulator, and I'm using PPSSPP. And the first game I'm testing out is Dynasty Warriors Volume 2. And to my surprise, with no frame skip, it's running it pretty well. There's some drop frames here and there, but it's definitely very playable. After that worked, I tried Dreamcast. It wouldn't even launch it. So I decided to try some more PSP games, and Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes was the next one I tested, and it runs it, and it's dropping a lot of frames. I wouldn't play it this way. It'll run with frame skip, but on a fighting game, it's going to be annoying. So it'll probably run a few easier to run PSP games, but most of the harder ones it's not going to run. So not too bad on a $20 phone that you can pick up on eBay or other places. I just had this sitting laying around. Maybe you have something similar. I wouldn't go out of my way to go get this, but now you know what it's capable of. All the emulators I used in this video I'll put down at the bottom. Check out my other videos, and if you're this far down the YouTube rabbit hole, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Have a good one.